Hey, this is Micah Carter here, and I'm making this video here just to talk to you about my few tips for how to get more presentations, and I'm talking about this particular case. I'm talking about door-to-door canvassing and related to a few different types of canvassing, but specifically I would talk about a Kirby vacuum canvassing script, right? How to get into more houses. How would you get into more houses? Well, or how do you get more sales, you might be wondering. How would I sell, 3 or 5 or even up to 10 Kirbys in a week, right? And you're wondering, who am I? Well, bottom line is I've worked for the Kirby company for a few years and personally sold probably about 500 of them, personally. So I've certainly been in a lot of houses, thousands, right? So I can tell you from experience, the different kinds of prospects you're going to experience in the field. But what would you say to get into more houses? I'll give you a few tips here. But the first thing is I'm going to give you my wording, right? What would you say to get into a house? And you're going to hear all kinds of vacuum type salespeople out there that would recommend all kinds of different pitches. I can tell you from personal experience, and I literally go out into the field with all types, new and veteran reps. And I found the same thing to be true. I still use the same approach that I started using after a little while. When I first started working for the Kirby company, we set appointments at a distributorship I was working for. This is in Washington State. And, they were recruiting in more of a generic manner. They had a recruiting class and so forth. And, other distributors might not be the same. Some are more structured than others. Others use different approaches to building their businesses, right? Their Kirby businesses, for example. And this could apply to many different kinds of home appliance type businesses, for example. But I'm just talking about Kirby because they're prominent in the marketplace as the types that hire individual sales reps with no experience, etc. And why do they say no experience? Well, the Kirby kind of sells itself, really. You really don't have to. In a lot of demonstrations, you really don't even have to really say anything if you know what you're doing. You don't have to say that much. I'll talk about that maybe in another video or maybe a little more in this video. But bottom line, what do you say when you get to the door, right? You're thinking, well, somebody comes to the door, they don't know you out of the, they don't know who you are at all, right? A lot of salespeople might talk about wearing a badge or something like that. I say just look trustworthy, right? Dress casual, neat. You don't have to dress in a suit and tie or something. That's overkill. We're talking about a Kirby. And it doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you shouldn't. A well-dressed person, being well-dressed goes a long way in life in general, in my opinion. And, I'm not I'm just doing this video on a t-shirt, but I'm just saying, it certainly sets a strong impression to be well-dressed. But the main thing is to be neat and trustworthy. Right, a guy might wear khakis and a polo shirt or something like that, or even jeans. It's not like you have to be, you don't have to be too pretentious about it. Now, like I said, when someone comes to the door, you only have a few seconds to set your first impression, right? What do I say when I get to the door? I keep it simple. I ain't going through a lot of theories and all this and that. I do one simple approach that works a lot of the time, right? Because I need to have predictable numbers, right? I have to have a law of averages that's predictable. So I go to the door, I'm going to knock on the door, they come to the door, yes, hello, and I say, yes, hi, oh, yes, hello, my name is Micah, I'm with the Kirby company over here on such and such, or in such and such town. And I just popped by real quick for a real quick demo, and I brought by a free gift. And what is the gift, right? Well, you could use a number of different types of gifts, and different types of distributors, for example, in the Kirby company do recommend different types of gifts. Some of them even do maybe no gift, I don't know. There's different approaches. For me, I believe in using a low-cost gift that is very usable and tangible, usable gift. Not some gift card, not, a mini vacuum, or a set of knives, all that stuff. It's it's overkill, or it's not tangible enough, or it just doesn't feel like something. If you bring them a cheap set of steak knives, and you're going to a suburban house where people, they just paid $200,000 or $500,000 or more for their home, do you think that they want a cheap set of steak knives laying around in their kitchen? Probably not. It's not really that attractive. A mini vacuum, for example, like a lot of the Kirby company, a lot of them used to use, and I don't know, probably a lot of them still use it, but things like a mini vacuum, and the salesperson actually in a lot of cases has to pay for this premium. So in that case, they might be paying up to $10 or more just for a demo. If you do 10 of those in a week, that's $100. Now, don't get me wrong. You do 10 demos, you're probably going to make $300 to $1,000 or more, depending on how many you sell. But you might not. And, $400 a month is a bit of overhead when you don't really need it. And in fact, it's probably less effective than using the gifts that I recommend, which would be a roll of paper towels or a bottle of Windex. Maybe even some laundry soap or something like that. But really, I recommend the Windex. It has a brand name, or a roll of paper towels, regardless of what brand it is. Anybody's going to use the paper towels up. And the reason why I like those gifts is because any suburban neighborhood you go into, probably 80 to 90% of the homes, they already have a bottle of Windex and a thing of paper towels in their home. And they all use that. They're all running out of it constantly, right? So you bring them that, they're thinking, hey, this is something I can use, So like I said, my name's Micah. I'm with the Kirby company over here in such and such, and I'm pointing, too. I'm using visuals. I'm using body language. I'm using body language to convey trust and to convey, the message I'm saying. I'm with the Kirby company over here in such and such. Tells them that I'm local, for one thing, right? Now, if I live 2 hours away, or the Kirby, or we're on a road trip or something like that, I may not necessarily say that like that. I'm with the Kirby company in here in New Mexico, or whatever state I'm in, maybe. Keep it a little bit more generic. Because they might, it just opens up cans of worms you may not need in that case. But if you're local enough, you're in your same town or city, let them know that you're local, right? You don't have to say, hey, we're local. That's like you're trying to prove something to them. More like you insinuate it in passing. You say it in passing, right? So you're not trying to prove anything. It just happens to come out during the conversation. I'm with the Kirby company over here in blah, blah, blah town, and, we're just out in the area. I was just popping by real quick for a real quick demo, and I brought by a free gift, right? They started asking me questions. What is that, a vacuum cleaner? Oh, we just bought a vacuum cleaner. Oh, we're not interested. Oh, we're not going to buy anything, or we can't afford anything. I can't pay attention to any of those objections. Most of them are lies. Not necessarily intentional, nefarious lies. Just not thinking about it. Natural reaction. Not interested. Of course, everybody's going to say that to any offer that comes to their door, basically. Those are some of your best prospects. That means they probably have the money, right? Yeah, they probably take action when they buy things. They see things, they buy them. They go to the car dealership, they probably buy like the first thing they know. They're impulsive buyers to a degree. They want things, right? They're making money. They want to be able to spend that money on stuff. So you come by, you show them the Kirby, I'm with the Kirby company over here at such and such, and I just popped by real quick for a real quick demo, and I brought by a free gift. Now, normally, it would be against the lingo of the salesperson to say demonstration. And that's what you say, demo. It sounds like an abbreviated version, right? But it's also straightforward. It's not like you're telling them, I have, a shampoo or a free broom of carpet or whatever. And I'm thinking wrong. You can, you don't have to overpromise. Say, look, maybe I can shampoo just a little area of carpet, or maybe have a couple of spots I can see if I can get them out while I'm here. And look, I just get credit for doing this stupid demo, and I just have to do one more before I go home. And they say, not interested. Oh, okay, well, I totally understand, these things are kind of expensive anyway. I get credit for doing this stupid little demo, and I get to, maybe I can just clean an area of carpet or something before I go home. I think you do one more of these, right? Your only goal, the only thing you're trying to sell is the idea of you simply getting into the house, right? You're not worried about anything else other than being invited into the house. Now, when you hand them the free gift, you hand it to them casually, slow, not too fast, not too slow, just casually and assumptively put it in their hands. And then put your finger up and say, if you just hold on for just a moment or two, I'll be right back with my equipment. Right? And then you just gently turn around and walk back towards your car and go get your equipment. I mean, if the paper towels doesn't hit you in the head, you're probably going to get back into the house, right? You just go grab your equipment. There's nothing reason to be nervous. Grab your equipment and just walk right into the house, right? And then they'll probably be inviting you in by that time anyway. Oh yeah, come on in, because, you just told them, hey, I'm going to go grab my equipment. I'll be right back with my equipment. That's all you got to say. Put your finger up so they don't say anything. They don't enter. Now, if you just hold on for just a moment or so, I'll be right back with my equipment. And maybe you're parked way down the street. You weren't walking a block or two. If you hold on, just give me just a couple moments. Might take me like a couple 5 minutes. Just parked down the end of the street. But I'll be right back with my equipment. Right? So, once again, my name's Micah. I'm with the Kirby company over here at such and such. I was just in the area. I just popped by real quick for a real quick demo, and I brought by a free gift. Right? I'm popping by. Right? And real quick for a real quick demo. Right? I'm not lengthy. I'm not sounding like I'm trying to sell anything. I get credit for the stupid little demo. So in demo is shortened, and I'm saying real quick twice. And say, well, how long does it take? Well, it takes a few minutes, of course, to get things, to vacuum a couple things and all that stuff. You don't have to tell them it takes any particular amount of time. Now, if they're really giving you a hard time, just go to the next one. I mean, don't, lose sleep over any one prospect. I mean, it comes down to how many approaches you make as well. If you don't knock enough doors for the month, the bottom line is you ain't going to sell enough Kirbys. You ain't going to get enough demonstrations. That's the reason why I talk about 45 to 60 demos for the month. If you just do the demos, you're probably going to sell a few. Now, if you're really new, you're going to have a learning curve maybe. I mean, you might not sell a few right away. That's why I would read some books, right? How to Close Every Sale by Joe Girard. I would say it's probably one of the #1 books that you should read immediately. You can also read The Art of Selling and See You at the Top, Zig Ziglar or Tom Hopkins. There's a couple of other great ones, but there's some other good ones as well. Like I said, go out and try this approach when you're at the door. Now also, some other tips for getting into the door. They say different things. Oh, we just bought a vacuum, right? A lot of times with any of their objections, you just use the excuse that, you're not, look, I just get credit for doing this stupid demo. Oh, okay, all right, well, in that case, I just get credit for doing the stupid little demo. Yeah, that's supposed to, now, act like you were going to try to sell the vacuum, right? Or act like you were going to do something bigger, and then act like what you're doing is a smaller version of what you were going to do, right? That way they feel like they're getting the easy way out, right? It's all about expectations. And also, when you're in a house, have a price sheet with the price of the Kirby. Maybe have a cash plan and have a finance plan written on there with a high down payment and short terms, like 12 and 18-month type of terms, and a high down payment of like $600 or $800 or something like that, right? Now, why do you want to do this? Well, for one thing, you want to have a price sheet that you can hand them, and you can gauge their level of resistance to this price, or just the idea of maybe buying this thing in general. Doesn't mean you're done with your demo, or you're done vacuuming. Doesn't mean you're necessarily asking to buy anything, but maybe halfway through the demo or so, you decide to go ahead and show them this price. Don't be afraid of it. Just give them the price sheet, and I guarantee as you're demonstrating, you're going to notice they're going to do basically one of two things. They're either going to put that price sheet down on the table, essentially give it back to you, or put it down, or they're going to hold on to it, and they're going to look at it, and they're going to show it to their spouse. Which one do you think is the sale? Okay? Bottom line is they give it back to you, they put it down, there's just virtually no chance they're going to buy. Doesn't mean that they put it down. Maybe they put it down next to them, right? Maybe they're going to look at it in a couple minutes. Maybe they already kind of know how much these things cost. It's not a surprise to them, so they put it down for a few, but they're still going to think about it. You're still doing your demonstration. You're not trying to sell anything. All you did was simply let them know how much this thing cost, right? So they've got a price sheet. But like I said, watch the body language. If they pick up the price sheet and they're holding on to it and they're looking at it, or every now and then they're looking at it, or they're handing it to their spouse, or they're talking to their spouse, and you got a biter. And probably have a sale. At least a 50% chance that you have a sale in those situations, I would say. Probably more like a 75% chance if you know what you're doing when they start doing that. So that's another thing. Now, how do you intro the price? Well, a lot of people have this philosophy of not showing the price till the end. Well, see, the thing is, if you do that, they're going to have prices built up in their mind that this thing costs $500 or $800, even $1,000. You're trying to sell it for $2,000. Bottom line is their expectations aren't where you need them to be soon enough in the demo, right? You didn't get to see where they're at so you could continue to build the proper amount of value before the demo is up, right? The amount of value that they would be getting out of the savings on their carpet, the time spent cleaning, the higher quality cleaning, the savings on how many vacuums they would replace and all that stuff, right? You're building up that kind of value in their mind throughout your demo. Does it mean you need to get all crazy articulate about it? Not necessarily, but, the more tighter you are with your training, the more you're stacking the deck in your favor, right? You get into the house, you have to do what's called a factory demo every time? Well, not necessarily. Just get in and put that thing in the upright mode, pull a few dirt pads, and act shocked. Wow. Certainly didn't look this dirty when I came in here. And what kind of vacuum are you all using? Right? So you're getting that out right away. As soon as you get into the house, you're setting up that upright, you're pulling some dirt pads out of the carpet real quick, and you pull a bunch of them real quick. Just like 20 of them real quick. Maybe 10 or 20. Just start piling them out real quick. Right in front of them. Put them on the table. Put them, don't spread them all out. Try to keep them in a couple of little areas. But put them right there in front of them. Trap them with them. Put them, say, wow, that's crazy. How old is this carpeting? Well, it's only 5 years old, and we just moved in here. And, well, that's maybe the traffic area. That's what happens is some of this dirt gets inside of there, and a lot of it can be kind of gritty and sandy and stuff like that, and it damages the fibers in the carpet. And, I don't know how many square feet you have. I'm not sure how much this costs to replace this carpet. If you had to replace the whole carpet in this house, how much do you think it would cost? Well, $5,000, $2,000, $10,000, whatever it is, right? Now they've said the value in their mind. Now you say, well, surely you'd agree if this sand wasn't in here. Carpet probably lasts a bit longer. Maybe 2 or 3 times as long. Right? Well, yeah. So now they're just confirming that essentially, by having this dirt out of here, they're gonna save thousands of dollars in their mind. They're confirming that, right? They're telling you. So those are just a couple of ideas. During the demos, you're going to get different types of ejections. Now, I'm talking about bringing up the price, right? So people ask how much this thing costs, right? And I want them to ask me that. How am I going to get them to ask that? Well, I'm going to allude to it. Yeah, don't get me wrong, these things are expensive, but, they work good. I don't say anything else. They're going to ask, well, how much is it? Well, like I said, they're pretty expensive. Don't worry, it's under $4,000, so they're definitely affordable. And they're going to laugh at that, right? But in their mind, they're going to be thinking, is this thing $4,000? Right? They're going to be thinking, they're going to be trying to justify it in their mind, because you told them it's expensive. And the way you told them that it's expensive makes them feel like you're not a salesperson. You're the last thing you're trying to do is sell this thing to them. Now they're vulnerable, right? They're going to say something like, it's not that much. Or whatever. They might say, or they might agree with you, right? Yeah, you haven't said the price yet. You just alluded to the idea that don't worry, it's under $4,000, so it's affordable. Now, obviously, you're making a joke, right? They're laughing, but they are thinking, hey, you just said this thing is super expensive. How much is it? So the question comes up, well, how much is this thing? Right? So they said that, and you said, don't worry, they're expensive. I'll get to that in a minute, right? So they're expensive. Matter of fact, don't worry, it's under $4,000. So it's definitely affordable. No, I'm just kidding. They're not $4,000. $39.99. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll show you all in a couple moments, about that stuff. And I have a piece of paper. I think I'll see if I can find that in just a moment, right? You don't have to tell them, oh, I have it right here. Well, just show it to me. I'll have to take a look. I think it's stuck in the thing there. I'll have to take a look at that in just a minute, right? So you can do a little bit, make sure you're spacing out your demo, right? Then in a few minutes, after you've done a couple more exciting things, they see you vacuuming the couch or whatever it is, you're pulling some more dirt out, you change it into a canister mode. You say, yeah, and by the way, here's the thing, here you can take a look, and then just tell them the price, $18.97, $22, whatever it is, and you don't have to be afraid of it, you don't have to dance around it. Just tell them. These people probably own a $200,000 to $500,000 house. They're not stupid, right? So, give them the price sheet, and then, like I said, notice their body language throughout the rest. Now, you're not trying to close them as soon as you give them the price sheet. You're just hitting them the price sheet so they can sit there and look at it while you're doing your demo, while you're vacuuming another part of the floor or whatever. And you just pick up and notice, what do they do with the price sheet? Now, they might look at it for a few minutes. Spouse might look at it with each other or whatever, and then just put it down pretty quickly. That means that they're thinking this is way out of their, they're not going to do this. They're just way out of their ballpark or their consideration. But like I said, if they put it next to them, or if they hold on to it and they show it to each other, or they pick it back up, you see that kind of activity, you certainly want to continue to build your value a bit more, right? And close, and trial close, test close. How much is it? Well, it's affordable. Do you think you'd like to have one in your home? Well, maybe. Well, they're expensive. But don't worry, they're under $4,000. So they're certainly affordable. $39.99. No, I'm just kidding. It's nothing. I have it somewhere in my thing. I'll show you that in just a couple minutes. You'll be able to see for yourself what it looks like. Right? So you're just casually alluding to the idea of them spending up to $4,000 on this thing, right? So in their mind, they're building the value. They're trying to justify in their minds why this thing would cost thousands of dollars, right? And maybe in a couple cases they're thinking, well, I can see why this would cost $3,900 or whatever. Maybe, obviously that's a little exaggerated, but, the idea is that when you do show them the price, they're going to see that it's not $4,000, it's, half that amount, right? They've already justified in their mind, they see the value you built with them a little bit. Their wall of resistance isn't going to just go to the roof. Instead of it goes down. Because now that you just jumped up their wall of resistance a little bit, but you did it in a joking way, right? That didn't get them into hostility mode. It got them into curiosity mode, right? Curiosity mode. That's what you want. So you're doing some trials and test closing throughout your demo. Not a ton of it. Just enough. Okay, Well, let me ask you, if you had something like this, would you use it? If it was affordable, do you think you'd like to have a Kirby? Would you like something you'd like to have in your home today? You don't have to make it sound like I'm getting a major commitment. It's just the voice inflection that makes all the difference. So there's just a few concepts here for you to think about when you're out there trying to get more presentations. And like I said, if you just do the 15 presentations a week, think about that before you think about the number of sales. Just 15 presentations. Maybe in the beginning, you're just trying to practice. Don't worry about qualifying every presentation super great. Maybe you have to for maybe they're advancing you some money based on demos or something like that. And remember, that's just an advance to keep you running while you're doing some demos. It doesn't mean that there's actually money being produced. You haven't sold a freaking vacuum yet, right? So there's no money coming in. They can't pay you. Don't get me wrong. Maybe some distributors making some particular exception or whatever. Maybe they have enough to They have enough sales they could make some kind of guarantee that's different, but for the most part, they're all going to tell you if you do something like 45 or 60 demos, you get paid maybe $1,800 a month or something like that. And many of them will honor that. Some of them might not, for whatever reasons. Maybe you didn't get it in writing, whatever. But, you got to understand, your goal during that 60 demos is to make at least $1,800 or whatever the amount is, right? And so you got to be coachable. You got to be willing to work. You got to be motivated, right? If you're not motivated, you're not going to crack a car door. You're not going to get out of the truck. You're not going to go make the attempts. Maybe you're nervous about what to say, right? You're worried about how you're going to handle the situation. You're nervous. That's the reason why knowing what to say and thinking about the responses you get to the things you say and how you could say them differently to get a different response. Thinking about that goes a long way, right? So if you're going to the door and they're shutting you down real quick, let's say every door is shutting you down with, we just had, we don't want no soliciting here or something like that, right? You need to think about that. How would you approach that differently, right? The concepts I just showed you and talked about, or not showed you, but talked about, or told you, I should say, as far as the door knocking, should overcome most of that. Don't let them deviate you with their objections. You try to open up their objection can of worms, you never get back to your track. Right? My name's Micah. I'm with the such and such company over here in such and such, and I just popped by real quick for a real quick demo, and I brought by a free gift. I don't need to explain anything more than that. Well, what is it? It's just a stupid appliance. They like a vacuum cleaner thing. Maybe you've heard of the Kirby company. They've been around for 100 years. They have like a vacuum thing. Oh, we just bought a vacuum. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I get credit just for doing this stupid thing. Like, I don't even care. Like, I have to, maybe just shampoo a little area near the carpet or something, near the entryway, and just see if I can maybe get a stain out or something for you. Like my boss, I can supposed to do 3 of these before the end of the day. And, you get a free gift. And if you just hold on a second, I'll be right back with my equipment. Right? So I deviate just enough. But then I'm going right back to my simple things that I say. Right? I mean, most of the time you can sit around, if you just hold on a second, I'm not interested. Well, that's fine. If you hold on a second, I'll be right back with my equipment. Well, I told you I'm not going to buy anything. I just get credit for doing this stupid thing. All right, well, like I said, I'm not buying nothing. Right? They don't pay attention to that. Just get in the house. Trust me, they got the money. I mean, unless you're like in some podunk trailer park or apartments or something like that, they probably have the ability to buy the thing, right? And they probably need it. I mean, think about all the dirt you pull out when you get into a home. I mean, don't you have belief, right? You have belief. I mean, certainly you need to install one of these in every house you get into if possible, even if you have to make the terms more affordable and agreeable and all that stuff. But in the beginning, like I said, keeping the price high, certainly important. Not just dropping your prices immediately, because if you drop prices or terms immediately, it makes it look like you could have done that to begin with. There's nothing special about it. You don't need any approval to drop something or whatever. Well, then it looks like you should have did it to begin with, right? So, like I said, start out with a high down payment and short terms. Let's just say I show a high down payment with short terms. The payment's probably going to be still affordable. Why? Because the down payment's high, right? So, now, for people who are paying cash, it's a different kind of close. But I'm just talking about for a lot of the people that you'll be selling that might finance, right? Maybe half of them, maybe more. I mean, face it, a lot of them probably will finance it if given that option. Like I said, you're talking about a high down payment. So at least if they do decide to finance, a lot of them might say, well, just pay cash, because you're asking for such a big down payment. But at the same time, for those people who are more reluctant, you keep a big down payment and a more affordable but short term, because shorter terms and higher down payments get approved better, right? The bank loans the money. They get approved. And the people pay out the bill because they put money into it. They have some skin in the game, right? So, but the purpose of that is to set up a particular type of close where you isolate their objection and you create the objection, really, of being the price, not just the price, though, but more specifically, the down payment, right? Maybe it can be the other way around. Maybe it's the monthly payments that's too high or whatever, but for the most part, when you set it up this way, and you get some commitments to the idea that they would like to have it if it was affordable, that's a good question to ask before you get down to closing. And if this thing was affordable, is it something you'd like to have in your home today? Say today, right? Well, I don't know about today, but it looks, we think about it. It's the think about it thing, right? A lot of them are going to put you off with that. So, what I'm talking about here is when you get down to the price sheet, right, and they're looking at a high down payment, even if you're just writing it down on a dirt pad, if nothing else, on a piece of paper, you're writing it down, you have a high down payment and you have a lower monthly, but it's still shorter term, so they're not necessarily super low. Like you said, maybe your down payment's $600 or $800, and your monthly is like $85 for 24 months, or maybe $120 for 18 or 12 months, or something like that, right? But with the bigger down payment, the payments should be more affordable. A low down payment, your payments are going to be too high. They're going to be like, we don't want to get into a payment that high, especially when they're thinking about payments, right? Now, a lot of people think, I could put maybe a little bit of a chunk of cash down, but in a way, you want that to be your objection, right? You want them to commit that. You want them to tell you, I couldn't come up with that down payment right now, right? And you say, aside from the down payment, how'd you feel about the monthly? Was that part at least affordable? That part was at least affordable, right? Reasonable. That part's reasonable enough, right? And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, because it's a lower monthly, right? And then also it kind of feels like they have a reason to not necessarily have to buy right now. This part's affordable, but this part's not. And I'm not acting like, we can work you an affordable down payment and all that stuff right away. No. I'm acting like, I don't know that there's anything we can necessarily do about that down payment, but how'd you feel about the monthly part? Was that part at least reasonable enough? Well, yeah, sure, we can handle it. $80 a month. It's just $700 down right now, and if she doesn't get paid to the 15th, and I just blah, blah, blah. I understand. Yeah, it's not like everybody can afford this thing. Right? Now I'm making them feel like, wait a minute, we can afford things. Right? I'm not saying that with everybody. It just depends. You got to gauge that. Right? But you want to keep up with the Joneses. Right? So, they say something about the down payment. You say, you isolate it. Say, if other than the down payment, you feel like the monthly payment was reasonable enough? And it's not like you're expecting them to necessarily say yes to this thing. It's kind of like you're just trying to see what the problem was. They say, yeah, it's just that down payment's too much. We'll say, I am trying to win a contest this month. You already laid the seeds out for the contest well ahead of time. You first opened up the box, the Kirby and stuff, right? Then you're saying, hey, look, I am trying to win this contest and everything, and how much if you had gotten the Kirby today, or if you had gotten the item today, you said that the monthly was reasonable enough, you handled it and the down payment was too much. Okay, let's just say it was like Burger King Day. And how the Burger King, they make the burger special, they make it your way, they take off the lettuce and the mustard and all that stuff. Let's just say it was Burger King Day, and they were making the burger your way, right? This is hypothetical, obviously, kind of silly, but I'm just saying, if they're making it your way, how much too much do you feel that the initial payment would have been? Was it $50 too much? $100? $200 too much? If it had been like $200, maybe, So now they're feeling like they're out of your ballpark, but they're telling you what they could do. Now, do you say, okay, great. No, you say, I see. Okay, yeah, I understand. So what you're saying is if the down payment had been, the initial part had been only a couple hundred, and then the monthly was similar, then that would have been a situation that would have worked for you today, but the main reason why you're not able to do it today is because the down payment is $400 too much. Okay, yeah, I appreciate y'all taking a look today, and of course, And, how soon down the road do you think you'd be able to come up with the 600? Well, I don't know, like I said, the 15th and all that stuff, right? So now you're sounding like you're willing to wait, almost, right? But then before you finish, like when you're done with it, now you kind of go back to acting like you're done to a degree. Like you're going to clean up the Kirby or the vacuum or whatever it is you're demonstrating, right? And acting like you're done almost. Then you think of another idea. Well, like I said, I'm trying to win this contest, and it is kind of getting close to the point in the month where you have to be whatever the situation happens to be, right? I'm 5 away from that. If there was a way that it was possible that maybe the initial part was more, I can't guarantee nothing because it's kind of like I'd have to ask about it. But I'm just saying if it was more affordable, where the initial was a little bit closer to that, and the monthly was, within the same range. I mean, do you think maybe that would work out for you? Or, if there was any way that it was similar, a little bit more closer to that, would that be a little bit more reasonable? Well, yeah, I mean, if there was a way that we could be able to make this and then on the 15th make this other part or whatever, right? A lot of times they're hot to trot about that, if they're a hot buyer potential, if they like the Kirby. They'll say something like that, right? You haven't told them you can do it yet, right? So that way they'll commit. They'll say, well, yeah, if that had been the way. Then you could say something like, well, it's kind of a long shot because, we have a bunch of people out in the field today and it's not like they really need me that much. But I'm trying to win this contest and my boss was talking to me a little bit earlier about maybe helping me out a little bit. If there's any way, and I can't guarantee it, write down your terms, right? Write it down. But if there's any way I could possibly get the initial part to be more affordable and the monthly was still similar and it was more like this, show them with clarity because they're not going to commit until they know basically exactly what it's going to be, right? And the down was only $249 today, and then the monthly was $127. I mean, the monthly's going to go up a little bit, right? But still, maybe you can stretch out the terms an additional 6 months to keep the monthly in the similar range, whatever it is, right? But if there's any way I could possibly get to where the initial part was a little more affordable, and I'm trying to win this. I'm trying to do this thing, this contest. And I know it sounds silly, kind of a long shot, but if there's any way I could get my boss to approve something a little bit more reasonable as far as that goes, and the monthly was more like this, would that be fair enough? Or maybe even be something. I mean, if it was possible to do something like that, how would you handle the initial payment? Right, stuff like that, right? A little bit of trial closing, commitment. Then you get on the phone with your boss, right? Hey, I was just here showing the Lewises the Kirby, and they really like it, and they said they would definitely use it if they had it, and they certainly want to have one, but it's kind of an issue that right now, like the money is just not. They don't feel like they can come up with the initial payment. Now, do I go ahead and tell him everything exact right away? No, because I don't want to sound too canned. I want to say, so I guess it's the issue was the initial payment, I guess, because, you all are asking for this such and such over here. They're asking for it. Your boss, your manager is asking. You're not asking for that. For all you care, you sell it to them for $2. You're just trying to win this contest. Right? You're not worried about a commission. Right. Your manager's the one that asked for this, such and such. So, they're just saying that if it had been more reasonable, they would have been able to get the Kirby today, but the reason why they're not able to is because they feeling like the down payment was a bit too much. They're saying that the down payment was $400 too much, and that's what you were saying? Right? So then you're getting a little confirmation with them right on the phone. But they're saying, and you could even tell, the customer, tell them, hey, look, I'm just going to tell him that you're offering this because otherwise he'll think I'm kind of, you know what I mean? It's like maybe I'm taking money out of his pocket or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I'm going to tell him you're offering this. So if you just kind of keep that between us, then you get on the phone with your manager, right? They're saying that, if it had been, a couple $100 on the down and the monthly was similar, 87 or whatever it is that you wrote down for them, they would have been able to go ahead and do it today. That's the only reason that he can't do it today is because the initial payment was too much. That was the only reason, right? Yes, okay, so, I don't know. I'm just running it by you before I know it's kind of ridiculous. Maybe that's a little out of the ballpark. I don't know, but I'm just wanting to let you know what they're saying. And I know you were talking to me about helping me with this contest, so I figured I'd at least run it by you before I left the place. And Right. So he's telling you some stuff, right? You're confirming it like you're listening, right? He's going to be telling you maybe some different options, right? And, maybe you already know what you're getting, But bottom line, the manager can help you. And you simply lay out the terms and say, okay, well, look, fortunately, I was able to get a hold of James, and he's actually, the distributor, or he's the manager of the office, or he's the one that makes the decisions and stuff like this. And he said we had a pretty good day. We've already had 3 units out, or 5, or whatever it is. He's going to go to help me out. He said he's going to go ahead and take that initial portion. If you could just do a post-dated check for the other 400, or for this portion of it here. You don't necessarily say the number's just written right there. You write them down, right? You can take care of this portion of this with maybe a post-dated check for the 15th, and then do the other part today, and then the installment wouldn't begin until the 18th of such and such. What do you say? Welcome you to the Kirby family? Right? And then just put your hand out and shake it. Right? And so, or if they've already said yes enough, just say, yeah, so you can go and do that. So how would you like to handle the initial $249? Right? So just an assumptive close. So there's just a few concepts here, and I'm kind of going a little lengthy in this video, but I'm probably going to make some other videos with some similar types of material, personal development material, and stuff that you can use in terms of social situations and how to maybe get your way more often using persuasion. Once again, this is Micah Carter. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and tell me if, maybe leave some comments and let me know that you tried some of these ideas, and let me know if they work for you, right? Maybe you have some questions, too, you'd like to ask me. You can feel free to email me at cartersbenefits@gmail.com. That's cartersbenefits@gmail.com. And also invite you to visit some of my websites, and I have a couple projects I'm working on right now. And I'm looking for people who are motivated and coachable and willing to work and willing to learn some of the ideas that we just talked about on this video. I do have a bit more for you to talk about as far as those kind of ideas. Hopefully that gives you some ideas to work with, and maybe share with some of your sales team members. And look forward to getting some more sales, and maybe having a week of 5 or even 10 sales and make some good money. Maybe win a percentage, 100% club trip or something like that in the Kirby company. And all these different companies have different ones, and it's not like Kirby's the only one. Kirby's the best vacuum, in my opinion, that I'd want to use in my house, but that's just me, but you can apply the same concepts to a lot of different businesses, and there's different kind of ideas you can use for cash sales as well. I'm just trying to give you a basic finance type of sale close and concept. So remember, smoke out your real objections, isolate your real objections, trial close, test close. If I could, would you? If it was this way, would that work? Right? Hypotheticals, hypothetical test closing, right? Or joking test closes. What do you say? Maybe you want to get one? Well, I don't know. That would all depend, right? So, different types of test close just to see where you're at. Right? It didn't have to be a full-on close. Don't be afraid to ask for the order. Remember, when you get to the end of a demo, you're probably going to have to ask for the order 3 to 6 times. Maybe more if they're negotiators. Who knows? But I'm just saying, you're probably going to have to ask for the order 3 or 6 times. And every time you ask for the order, you must give new information, new reasons, right? New reasons why you would be re-asking for the order. New information, reasons why they would want to say yes to the order this time as opposed to the last time. You give them new information, right? So a few more concepts there. There's also alternate choice closing, which I think is definitely great. If you did get the Kirby today, I mean, how would you handle the initial? Would you use check or would you use cash? How would you like to handle the such and such? Do you want to get it with the shampooer or without the shampooer? Stuff like that. Those are great trial test closes and alternative choice closing. But remember not to get too caught up in any one thing and think outside the box a little bit. Same time, be coachable. Be willing to act and follow some coaching a little bit too as well. I mean, one day I might go in there with the idea of experimentation. Another day I'm going in there and I'm following a script word for word that somebody else wrote because I want to get something out of it. Maybe there's something in there I haven't thought about. You never know what could open up the possibilities for you. Bottom line, if you did 20 demos this week, you didn't have to do as much door knocking or appointment setting for whatever reason. Maybe you have somebody setting appointments for you or even setting demos for you, door knocking people in. That's another technique a lot of distributors have used. For me, I've always liked to personally knock my own door, but that's just me. But that's not necessarily always the case. I mean, I've certainly been in situations where running the appointments and having a canvasser and stuff like that is certainly beneficial. And that goes a long way having somebody that's motivated to work with. So that's why I'm looking for in my business projects is people, hopefully someone like you, because if you made it to this point in this message, you're probably motivated. So thank you so much for listening to this video. Like I said, please leave some comments. I look forward to maybe talking to you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.